All right, we are back with the next episode of Teachers Talking Hoops. Um, Welcome. How we doing, Adam?
Good, doing well. It's almost tournament time. How are you?
Good, good. Yeah, it's coming fast. We got um, we're what? We're 2 weeks from Saturday away from Duke UNC, which means we're about 2.5 weeks from conference tournament probably.
Yeah.
Which puts us so we're probably 3 weeks from this Sunday from maybe it's Selection Sunday, but that doesn't sound right. No, I guess so, right? Because the tournament we got
Yeah,
yeah, probably
pretty
three
much.
weeks from Sunday. Yeah, because we're starting on the 16th or the 20th and 21st, right? Probably that's when we're starting. Yeah.
Adam's gonna figure out how to do the bracket show because Adam will be in Florida for Selection Sunday
Mm,
before the tournament.
it's so here's all right. I'm gonna start with something.
Okay.
Duke's got Illinois. We are a Duke podcast first and foremost.
Mhm.
Um, and Duke's got Illinois on Saturday. And Illinois just got smoked by Wisconsin. Illinois is down their best player currently. But they did not do the handshake line
Yep.
with Wisconsin because they're too sick. Do you not think that you can pass those sickness germs in the midst of the 40-minute basketball game?
Yeah, I was thinking about that as I read that yesterday, and I was like, wait a second. I was like, there's also the chance that they could spread it to each other in the game.
And are they going to spread this to Duke and ruin Cooper Flag's season?
That's what I like. If I'm Duke, I'd just forfeit.
I,
Just
you
take
know,
the
I was
loss.
going to say, like, maybe it drops you down to a 2 seed, but you
Yeah,
know what, like,
just take the loss. I mean, like, all prayers up to Illinois, but like, if I'm Duke, I don't want to get the possibility of getting sick.
I
But
don't even know. I read a quote and I didn't look it up. I read a quote that one of the
do
guys
you
was
know what
too
it
sick.
is?
No,
Because I heard somebody said mono, but it's definitely not mono.
and I mean, people have definitely been sick. Like um, what's his name there? Mason Gillis was out for a couple weeks, not
Yeah,
traveling with the team.
I
Um,
wonder. Maybe it is mono. I didn't think you could pass mono like that.
Yeah, and like they said, Cooper Flag was sick. So my only hope is like Duke has been sick, so hopefully whatever Illinois has is the same thing
Yeah,
Duke had, and
right.
it just like it's gone through the team already, maybe.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
I do give props to Brad Underwood. I mean, he didn't want to get the thought was there.
yeah, right. And
I
then you can't like, what do you if your guys are technically healthy and like 5 years ago, right? 5-10 years ago, before COVID, no one's really thinking about this, right? People are like, okay, are you healthy enough where you're not going to puke in the middle of the game? Okay, yeah, then right, you can play. Whereas
yeah,
now we're a lot more aware of like, all right, like you can pass this stuff on, and maybe you shouldn't do it.
right. Yeah, so I mean, I'll prayers up to Illinois. Um,
Yeah, and it's
one,
almost like that's a disappointing game. I mean, Duke has to win the game first, right? But like, it's that was supposed to be the game that was going to
right.
test Duke in the middle of the season and kind of help the resume a little bit. And Illinois is just going backwards.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
until they get everybody healthy, really, I
yeah,
mean, we're not gonna
yeah,
know.
it's not really
Luckily,
going to. I was just gonna say it's not going to be that the benefit game that Duke was kind of looking for in the midst of this poor ACC.
right. And I was just gonna say like, Illinois is lucky enough that they're pretty much a lock in the tournament,
Yep.
so they don't have to worry about any of these games affecting their potential bubble status. So, but I mean, I'm expecting Duke to kind of crush them, um, and hopefully, stay healthy after it.
Yeah. So I mentioned we were going to talk about some of these blue bloods.
Mhm.
Now, do we consider is Kansas a blue blood, or is UConn a blue blood?
I think so.
I mean, we'll leave UConn. So we'll leave UConn for right now. We can have a separate discussion about UConn and you know how one could be an 8-9 seed potentially with the best coach in all of college basketball. I'm not sure, but here they are. But you got UNC, Kansas, and Indiana. UNC is 16-11 in a bad ACC. Kansas is 17-9, and Indiana's 15-11. Um, what's our? I mean, I guess out of those three, well, how many of those three are making the tournament?
One.
Just Kansas?
Yeah, because
I
If UNC and Indiana played each other, they would both lose.
I keep hearing people. I was watching UNC versus somebody, and they were like, "Yeah, there's still a path for UNC. They just have to win like 4 of the next 5 games." I'm like, what path are you talking about? They're one in they're I think what they're 1-10
Yeah,
in they're
in
1-10
quad
in
one.
quad one.
Yeah,
Their only other opportunity is Duke,
and they're not going to
and
win that.
yeah, if they lose that game, you're 1-11.
Right,
And it's like, sure, like they could end up being 20-12 or something like
right,
that. But like, what does that mean
right,
when you lost to every good team that you played?
right. And it's like, I mean, they almost lost to Syracuse.
Yeah,
Like
right. And
you,
yeah, they're a couple
like,
points away from like some bad losses, like
yes,
that Syracuse, that BC one they should
yeah,
have lost.
right.
They
Notre
had a quad
Dame.
three because of Stanford.
Yep. Notre Dame they lost. And like they have their best win. The best two wins are UCLA and Dayton.
Yep,
And
and
like Dayton's not a tournament team anymore.
yep, and I mean UCLA isn't certainly I think the team that we
Right.
thought they were when UNC beat them.
Right. And Pitt is not a tournament team anymore because
Oh, Pitt's been backwards big time.
they've blown a couple of games. SMU's probably not a tournament team because they blew a game to Wake Forest. So like there's just nothing that convinces me that this team like what are you going to put this team in the tournament to win a first four game and then that's it?
Yeah,
It's kind of like with Virginia last year. I mean, I love Tony Bennett, I love Virginia, but like they had no business being in that tournament.
yep,
They just lost in the first four game by 30. And people like that's might happen with UNC if they play somebody that's just better than them.
yep,
I mean, if they play Indiana, nobody's winning that game, and that's just going to be like a game where it just goes on forever with the score tied and nobody's going to win.
yep.
But
And I
just
mean they've
nothing.
got a well, I say they've got a favorable schedule, right?
Yeah,
They're at home with Virginia and
Virginia.
Miami. They do have to go
Yep,
to Virginia Tech, who's a bad
yep,
team, but it's not
yep.
always easy. I think the hardest game really is at Florida State before they have
Right.
Duke.
And if
Um,
they lose any of those games before Duke, I mean, the door is pretty much shut, but
yeah,
like it's going to be completely shut
yeah,
if they don't go 4-5. I mean,
yeah,
that's going to be it. Um, so it's going to be interesting. I could see them getting upset either because Virginia Tech's playing well recently, and Florida State just upset Wake Forest.
yep,
And that's a Monday game right after a Saturday game. It's tough to play two games in 3 days. So,
yeah,
I could see them getting tripped up for sure.
yeah. Florida State's been better, and yeah, and then that Duke game, I can't see Duke is playing really good offense right
Mm,
now.
right,
Defense is still kind of hanging around, but offensively, between Tyrese Proctor and Con Knipple and Cooper Flag, like the offense is just really flowing right now.
right.
Um, yeah, I'll tell you. So UNC we got out. I'm going to go to Indiana in a second. But I guess hot take, not hot take. There's no way. I don't think Notre Dame's head coach is coming back next year.
I love
Um,
him. I
did
so hope he comes back.
did you see where he was like he went on that big like rant about and if you're not with us now, like get off because we're turning this thing around.
Mhm.
And I was all in. I heard that, I was like, yep. And then they played, who are they playing the next game? It wasn't even a good team. It was SMU, and I was like, yep, like watch these guys come out fire because that press conference,
Did they
and
did
they
they
lost
get?
by like 25.
Yeah, they did.
I was like, if your coach comes out and tells the world that like they better watch out, and you come out and just lay down to the next team that you play, that's not a good sign.
It's I also feel for him because like he doesn't have anybody either.
Yep.
Like he just has to like put together what he has, and he doesn't have anybody.
Yep.
But I mean, I would play for Micah Shrewsbury every day.
Well, and you
Like,
assume I don't know how all the NIL works and stuff like that, but
right.
the majority of the booster money, whatever money, is going
Hmm.
to Notre Dame football. So
Right. And if you're going to ACC school for basketball, you're going to Duke or UNC,
yeah,
and even Clemson now. So I feel for him. Um, you know, I am absolutely rooting for him. But it's a really tough situation he's in. Um, Everybody's been there. He was there. He turned around at Penn State. So there's no reason why he can't turn it back around here.
yeah. Um, Indiana,
I thought we were
Indiana's
going to
another one, right?
Kansas. Kansas.
Kansas, okay, Kansas.
Kansas
So Kansas basketball, whew,
sucks.
91 to
Yeah.
57
Yeah.
against BYU
Yeah.
after losing to Utah,
Hmm.
um, and then beating
And
and losing that Kansas State game.
hmm yeah.
Utah went on a run. Utah took down Kansas and Kansas State
Yes.
back-to-back games. Um, yeah, and then before that to Baylor, and Baylor's not good.
Right.
Like
And
Baylor you look at Baylor's hanging on a little
right.
bit,
Hmm.
but I thought Baylor was going to be impressive this year.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, Kansas is on almost an every other game thing here, right? They
Hmm.
lost at Houston, beat
It all
UCF.
started with that too. This
Yep.
whole thing all started with that
Oh yeah,
Houston
where they
loss.
gave that game
Yep.
away.
Hmm.
Yep. Yeah, right. You win that game, you got a good win.
Right.
Yeah, but so you lose to Houston, beat UCF, lose to Baylor, beat Iowa State, lose to Kansas State, beat Colorado, lose to Utah. Now they should have beat BYU because that
Right.
keeps it the pattern, but they lost to BYU. Now,
Yep.
thankfully, they've got Oklahoma State, Colorado, then they go Texas Tech, Houston, Arizona.
Which is a brutal three. I honestly, I'm. It's not easy as we saw to go out west. I could
Yep,
see them losing to Colorado. I
yep.
mean,
11 a
you,
nighttime game, 11
yeah,
p.m. game.
you're going back home, and then you got to go right out to Colorado after
Yep,
as for a Monday night game,
yep.
and
That's true.
then
Yeah, right. You're at home, and then
yeah,
that game, you're flying out probably the next day,
right.
right? So you're flying out Sunday, and then you get ready for that Monday game.
That's tough.
Yeah,
So
it's
yeah, I mean theoretically, say they're an 18 and 13 Kansas team. How confident are you in them to make it to the second weekend of the NCAA tournament?
I mean, it's an 18 and 13 Kansas team. Do they deserve to be in the tournament?
I think so because they have enough
They got that Duke
wins.
win.
They have the
That
Duke
oh,
win,
that Duke win pains me.
and they have a Michigan State win, and they have um,
Now it's like, do you
Iowa
think
State. So like they have the wins.
so? Has Kansas fallen apart, or are Michigan State and Duke, were they both so young and new, and Kansas had a bunch of experienced guys that Kansas was just early in the season, experience won out over like continuity almost? Because you would assume, right, neutral court, Michigan State, Duke, Kansas. You're probably picking Duke and Michigan State over Kansas right
Mhm.
now.
It's so the past two games in their trip out west, Kansas has shot pretty much 36% from the field, somewhere between 35% from three. They've lost the turnover battle and they've lost the rebound battle. Like they're either Kansas is either a team that's going to play really good for you, or they're going to be consistently bad at beating their opponents in the categories you need to win. Like you can't go on the road and turn the ball over. You can't go on the road and lose the rebounding battle. And I just think they've got a lot of veteran guys who have played hundreds of games,
Mm-hmm.
but they're just not consistent enough right now. Like they can't knock down shots. And, like secrets out, Hunter Dickinson is good. Like teams are going to throw multiple bodies at
Yep.
him and wear him down, and nobody can step up for them. That's going to be a problem for them,
And I would
especially if
say
they get matched up with a team that, can surprise them in the tournament.
ever since the end of last season, ever since like the right before the conference tournament, he just looks tired all the time.
Yeah. And, I mean, it's a lot too, to be the focal point of the offense. And, I mean, we can look here. He probably played, I mean, even in the blowout, um, probably close to 40 minutes. I mean, he played 29 minutes in the loss to Utah. So we'll say 30, and then you turn around 2.5 days later. I mean, he probably didn't play a lot in the BYU game because they were getting blown out. Um, he still played 29 minutes. Like you're playing 30 minutes twice, 3 times a week. That's gonna
Yeah.
catch up with you,
Yeah, when you're a big guy like that, right? Like,
right?
even just on, I assume, right, Hunter Dixon's not a heavy guy, but when you're
Right,
that big, your knees are gonna get sore, and
hmm
it's like you're gonna get beat down.
right. And I mean, they have, they're lucky enough that they're sixth in the Big 12, but I mean, they got teams crawling up right behind them. And
Yeah.
I mean, time is running out. Um, so I wonder what this Kansas team is going to look like. Like, we don't care about Saturday's game. It doesn't matter if they come out and beat Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State sucks. They should beat Oklahoma State. But it's going to be how they come out on that Monday versus Colorado, and then you got to turn around and play a really hot Texas Tech team, a really great Houston team, a really great Arizona team, who, if I'm not mistaken, their last 2 games are on the road. Like we're going to learn a lot about, their toughness where they've failed really uh, these past 2 times.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, you're right, because they're what? They're 17-9 right now.
Hmm.
I could see wait, 1, 18, 19, 20. I give them 20 and 11 kind of going into the, but I listened to a podcast today that said, I forget the exact number, but it was a one game thing. Kansas is something like, going back to last season, Kansas is 18 and 17 in their last 35 Big 12 games.
Mm,
And this is a team that used to just always win.
right.
Like even when it looked like, I think there was a year or two ago, it looked like, okay, well, Kansas is down this year, and they surged back and then still won the Big 12.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's another testament to the parity that we're seeing now
Yep.
around college basketball. It's, even your guys like Kansas, are just not going to blow anybody out of the water now.
Yep.
Um, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but if they're not ready to play, I mean, they're not going to win. And you can say that's the same for everybody, but it's just, same for this Kansas team. And you would think with the amount of veteran guys they have that they would know that something's got to be turned around, but I just don't see enough urgency in this group to convince me that they're a second team weekend right now.
Yeah. And look at this thing here. I saw this team. I want to see if I can track this stat here. Is this okay? This isn't the. I don't know how to find the actual thing, but I'll tell you. So the top 50 teams
Hmm.
in not the top 50, but like in terms of tracking how many teams shoot, how many teams shots come from the 3-point line,
Hmm.
going all the way down to number 50, Canisius,
Okay.
37%.
Mm.
right? If we go for if we go real deep down, let's go to number 4 here. So you go down to the 200th team in the country, Stetson.
Yep.
Stetson, or in terms of this category, Stetson shoots 34% of their shots at 3-pointers. So when the majority of teams are shooting 35 to 40% of their shots as 3-pointers, anybody can lose.
Right, for sure.
Because I always go back to the thing where it's like these guys are just. I was thinking in my head. I forget who I was telling this to, and then I was telling somebody else. I was telling Mr. Brez yesterday. So for those of you who don't know, Adam is actively playing basketball. I pretend to play basketball. But I was at Adam's game last night, and I'm watching these guys play, and my mind goes to, if this is what a like a low to mid level D3 team looks like,
Hmm.
how good are these guys that play for UCLA and Colorado and Duke? Like, how good are these guys? Because I'm watching this and I'm like, man, like I couldn't even dream to score a point against anyone on that court. And it's just like, so like if you got these guys that are shooting 35% from the 3-point line, or 35% of their shots from the 3-point line, they're capable, right? Sure, they're going to miss a lot of them, but they are fully capable of having a game where they shoot 50% from the 3-point line.
Yeah.
Like, these guys are all, I imagine almost everyone that played in that game last night was either the first or second best player on their high school basketball team.
Yep.
So it's like these guys that are starting at even a bad team. I mentioned Canisius, right? So
Hmm.
these guys that are starting at Canisius who shoot 37% of their shots from three, those guys were probably dropping 40 points a game in high school.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, they could smoke anybody.
Yeah. So
It.
it's like all you need is, and I say this all the time when teams play Duke, they have nothing to lose. And
Hmm.
so if you're a 16 seed or a 15
Right.
seed and you shoot 40% of your shots from three, you're
Hmm.
going to lose the game anyways. So you might as
Right.
well just chuck it. And if it starts
Right.
going in, that other team's going to start getting real nervous.
Hmm. And you let a team hang around long enough that's not supposed to be there,
Yep.
you never know what could happen.
Yep. And especially you take a team like a Kansas, right? So let's say Kansas goes on a hot run. Let's say they win the
Hmm.
rest of their games. So now they've beaten Houston, they've beaten Arizona, and they're feeling pretty good about themselves. If they go down by two in as like a, let's say it's like a 14-3 situation,
Hmm.
they go down by two in the first round of the NCAA tournament. All these thoughts about earlier in the season when they were struggling, those are all going to creep back into their mind. And then, oh, remember when we lost that game? Remember when we lost that game?
Yeah, and it's tough too. I mean, especially when you know that you're supposed to be, there, and then you're like, oh, you know, here we go again.
Yep.
And it will definitely it'll be interesting to see how Kansas responds, and I think we're going to get a good look of what they're really made of in the next really week and a half basically.
All right. Trivia question.
Is this about Indiana?
No. Which Power Five conference team do you think shoots is the highest on the list for percentage of shots coming from the 3-point line? They're at 39.63%. They're ranked fourth in the country in terms of their shots coming from the 3-point line.
Probably is this Alabama?
That's, you would think, right? Alabama would be a good guess. I wonder where they're on this list. Duke.
Alabama. My top three guesses are Alabama, Florida, and
I'll tell you, they're from a bad Power Five conference.
really. So who's the worst Power Five conference? The ACC?
It,
Is that
it's
what
not.
you're
It's not.
talking?
It's not from the ACC.
Then who? The Big East?
Yep.
Is it St. John's?
It's Villanova.
Oh, well, Villanova's. I'm
Villanova
so
shoots
dis
39.63%. Houston
I'm so
shoots
disappointed in them.
39.4% of their shots. Alabama
You would
does
think it
not
would
look
be
like they're in the
Alabama.
top 50. It used to be Alabama all the time.
It was a rough go for Nate Oates last night.
Let me see there.
Did you see the video of him smashing his clipboard?
Yep.
It was a rough night for him.
I lost that. How do I get
But your
this?
boy Mark Mitchell really stepped up. He's really coming into his own there. That's what happens when you leave Duke. I mean, you really evolve into like a full player.
It I think he needed to leave. Hold
Mitchell,
on.
Henry Coleman, Jalen Blakes, like
I
all
don't
these
know. I
guys.
don't know. I don't. Some of those guys. Some of those guys just left before they need. So Mark Mitchell needed to leave. There was too much just negative kind of stigma there. Henry Coleman would have got playing time.
Henry
Like
Coleman is
Henry Coleman was not ready for major minutes when he was a freshman. Great guy. I loved Henry Coleman. I wish he stayed. He was not ready for major minutes. He should just stayed
or even Patrick Tape. He made the NCAA tournament the year after he left Duke.
from like Harvard or something like that, right?
From Columbia, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
He made the tournament with like USF.
yeah. Um, no, Henry Coleman would have been fine if he had stayed. Now, look at Jeremy Roach is not playing well.
He is having a bad year.
TJ Powers can't even get on this floor. TJ Powers didn't play against Duke until there was like 3 minutes left.
Yeah,
Um,
it's all right.
Sean Stewart's not playing well.
He's playing
He's playing
decent.
okay, but he's doing the same stuff he would have done at Duke.
Sean
Now,
Stewart is having a decent year.
okay, so who do you want? You want Sean? So, what position does Sean Stewart play? Power
Okay,
forward.
yeah.
So, who you want? Sean Stewart or Cooper Flag?
Well, when you put it like that,
And
yeah.
so Sean Stewart comes off the bench. Who you want? Sean Stewart or the defensive wizard Malik Brown?
But Malik Brown, I feel like is a center for them.
But that so
You could
I
play Sean Stewart at the power forward, though. I mean, the small forward.
so you gotta. I mean, Duke. The thing is, Duke's playing positionless basketball right now.
John Stewart
So
starts at Ohio
is
State.
Sean Stewart better than Cooper Flag,
No.
Kamen Malawach?
Well, I mean, all right.
Yes, but you have to play Malawach because of. I agree. I actually there's some issues there. But
He's a lottery pick. Do you know that?
he's like supposed to be the sixth or seventh guy right now. There,
Like
that's all banking on like potential.
yeah,
Now
like
he can shoot though. They don't let him shoot often.
yeah,
Um, and so I think they're hoping that he's gonna. He only started playing basketball like 3 years ago,
right.
so they're hoping he's gonna fill out some.
Right.
And but yes, uh, would you want Sean Stewart over Con Knipple?
Okay, but that's two totally different positions.
So so you want big men. All right. So we got Malik Brown, we got Cooper Flag, we got Man, we got uh um
All that play.
no. You I just want to make sure I don't get his first name wrong. I don't know. You messed me up when you said Patrick Tapei earlier. So now I'm messing up on
Duke legend. Where is he
the,
now?
the backup the backup center for Duke. Um
There is no backup center.
no, I don't want to get his name wrong. It is Patrick. Okay. Patrick Ngumba.
Who the heck is that?
Patrick Ngumba he's a McDonald's All-American.
Who is that?
Patrick Ngumba, if watch him play, he's gonna get more minutes now that Malik Brown's out. This guy can score the ball.
Oh, side note, I'm looking at Patrick Tape's stats. He only played 10 games for Duke. That's so sad. I feel bad for him. What a wasted potential. Like, he averaged 4.5 minutes a game. That's it. It's
No,
okay,
yeah.
Patrick.
I
We're on to
I
better
want
things.
Patrick Ngumba is a better player than Sean Stewart. Hands down.
I have not seen.
And then we got Mason Gillis. Mason Gillis plays down low.
Okay.
Now,
Uh,
Sean Stewart and Mason Gillis are different players for sure.
right.
The one thing, so I wanted Sean Stewart to get more playing time last year because Sean Stewart, I actually think if Sean Stewart gets more playing time,
Mhm.
Duke potentially wins the national championship last year because the only guy on the floor that could guard DJ Burns was Sean Stewart, because he was the only one. Now Stewart, he's small, right? He's underdeveloped, but he was getting low. He knew how to guard a big guy. He knew to get in the low stance to kind of like keep him off the block. And so and Sean Stewart's a freak athlete,
Yes.
big jumping. Um, and so I thought if he gets more playing time in that game, Duke wins. And then if Duke wins that game, then you just got to win the championship, right? Like it's like you're right there. But
Side note,
it's hit or miss with those Duke transfers.
right. Also, side note, give my man Patrick Tape some credit. He's the all-time leading field goal percentage leader at Columbia. I did not know that.
He got no Duke loves their Ivy League
He
transfers.
got no burn though.
Right I just had the lineup paper. What did I do with it?
He got no burn. Just like Patrick, whatever his name is, gets no burn either.
No, but he's going. He does.
How did we get to
Scored.
this?
He scored the game-winning basket against Wake Forest.
You're gonna have
Cooper Flag dumped it off to him, and he caught it in rhythm and put it up.
All right.
Wait, I gotta look this up now.
I mean, I would love to play with Cooper Flag too. I'd get a lot of open buckets too.
How do I get? Where is?
Oh man,
Where's the player?
how did we even get to this?
Isaiah Evans.
All right. Well, that's a different position.
So there's
Wait,
no
who?
Sion
Oh, we're talking
James.
about Sean Stewart. Okay.
There's no room for Sean Stewart. So wait. That's why I look up. Cam Sheffield. Cam Sheffield came from an Ivy League, didn't he?
Wait, who is this? Like, who are these people?
He doesn't play.
I feel like, but here's to your point, right? Like, you have dudes sitting on the end of the Duke bench that probably dropped like 60 points a game in high school.
Where's this overview? He went to, where did Cam Sheffield go to school?
Cameron Sheffield. He went to Rice.
Oh, okay. He's supposed to be a good shooter. Yeah, he doesn't play though.
Dang. Gotta get my guys some more burn here.
You know who needs more minutes?
Darren Harris.
Darren Harris said he's going to transfer.
He's a good player too.
I know he was McDonald's All-American too. Caleb Foster needs more minutes. Free my boy Caleb Foster. He's going to transfer. It's going to make me so sad.
Oh yeah, he's going to transfer. Oh, for sure, he's going to transfer.
Yeah, he can't even. Caleb Foster. He was crushing it the other night when Duke at Stanford. Duke versus Stanford. Caleb Foster had like 10 points and 3 rebounds in 6 minutes because he didn't get in until the last 5 minutes of the game. They were up by 30 points and he couldn't get in the game.
Hey,
Isaiah Evans though. Evans shooting like. Let me see if I can get. He's got to shoot 45% from the 3-point line. He's shooting 50%. Oh no, that's 45% from the 3-point line.
Mm-hmm.
But last game, right? He was 5 of 6, I think.
Right.
If he hits the first one, but like I said, you get Darren Harris, a guy who is known to be a 3-point shooter.
Mm-hmm.
The tough part in this is, I don't know in an NIL era, in a transfer era, how do you develop people? It's like,
yeah, that's a good question.
How do you convince Darren Harris that we want you to play when you're a junior, right? We don't think you're quite ready yet. We're gonna bring the transfer next year, or Isaiah Evans is gonna stay one more year, and then you're our guy junior year. So now you've wasted 2 years of college basketball.
Yeah, that's hard to do. Especially, I mean, code year's done, right?
I think so. Yep.
Yeah, it's a lengthy investment.
Yeah. And then I think you have to be loyal, but Jaden Schutt was loyal. Jaden Schutt was a Duke guy. His grandfather or something like that, went to Duke. He loved Duke.
Not anymore.
Wasted 2 or 3 years, and Joey Baker, I love me some Joey Baker. And Joey Baker.
You lose you lose like the best shooters ever. Alex O'Connell, Joey
Oh, I love the
Baker.
Alpha. Alex O'Connell, if we were playing Syracuse or like UNC, Alex O'Connell is going to score
He'd get
30.
like 30 minutes because he'd
Yeah.
score like 48 points.
Alex O'Connell was he was tough. But
He was a
Joey
sniper.
Baker, oh, such a nice kid. And like my problem is that's what I hate about Coach K. How can you, if you sit on the bench for 20 minutes
Uh-huh.
and you come in the game and cold and you come in the game and you
Yeah.
miss a shot, K's going to pull you out of the game. But you're cold. How can you get in and just? I mean, Isaiah Evans. The one thing he just doesn't care, right? Like
Yeah, Isaiah
he
Evans, he
doesn't care
literally gets the ball and it's going up.
he just shoots it.
Doesn't matter where he is. He could just cross over half court and he'll just
Yeah,
chuck that thing.
yeah. Oh, I miss me some Joey Baker. So,
One of the in the off season we're gonna do like a Duke like throwback. Who would have been your favorite players of the past 10 years?
that's me a podcast.
And Patrick Tafe will be on my list.
And guess who just got a 10-day contract?
I don't
Mr.
want to.
Tyler
No,
Okafor.
don't.
Oh
No,
yeah, here he
no,
comes,
no, no. Get out of here.
Mr.
Next,
Okafor.
I don't know what I dislike talking about more, Jahlil Okafor in the NBA, or let's see. We're gonna see us. He gets no burn.
He just got in.
Yeah, he never went back in after that. That's the only game he went in.
Tell me, all right, one more trivia thing, and we'll get back on target here. Um, Tell me what player for their career
Okay.
averages 80, 86% from the free throw line,
Hmm.
41.5% from the 3-point line.
Is it Jahlil Okafor?
No,
Is it?
11 points a game, has had a um let's see, has had a how do I find this out here?
Is this for Duke?
Yeah. How do I- the answer is what a career for Grayson Allen. What a career. My boy Grayson Allen. What a guy. I wish it was easier to find out. I love me some Grayson Allen. I have two basketball jerseys. Reggie Miller and Grayson Allen.
Yeah, I remember we have that Duke picture.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah.
Um so speaking of Joey Baker. Joey Baker transferred from Duke to Michigan.
Yes, didn't make the
Um
tournament.
and Michigan is is playing well right now.
Oh, that's a good transition right there.
Yeah. So Michigan basketball so is right now they've got Dusty May as the coach, right?
Mhm.
Was what last year was Juwan Howard coaching the team last year?
It's like a mix of him and
Oh, like the
Martelli.
assistant, right?
Yeah.
So this is Dusty May's first year. Um Kind of brand new start. I assume a relatively new team. I'm guessing a lot of guys
Yep.
probably left and they picked up some
Hmm.
guys. And this is a team that's 20-5, got some good wins.
Yep.
Um, this is a good basketball team. Um, and so I bring this up because India or Michigan's a good team, and I think you have to put Dusty May in the conversation for coach of the year.
Yes.
Him, Patino,
Pat
um,
Kelsey.
yeah, Kelsey. I think when Duke lost to Clemson, that probably hurt John Shire a little bit there. If you go undefeated in the ACC, all right, maybe we make a claim for it there. But I still think Bruce Pearl
Yes,
has a shot at it because
absolutely.
Auburn is it has been a good basketball team, but they've just been so good in such a good SEC right now. And I
Yeah.
think too often do the good teams get discounted.
Hmm.
Like
Sure.
look at Kansas, right?
Right.
Kansas is a team that they were the number one team preseason.
Hmm.
and they've got a great coach and they're
Right.
bad.
Hmm.
So like it's not just a given that
Right.
just because you have a good team that you're going to win games.
Yeah, and I think I think Dennis Gates is in there for Missouri also.
Yep, yep.
Um, and then I just had my other one, but oh, Darren DeVries from West Virginia.
Yeah.
Um, you know, turning them around. But I mean, yeah, Dusty May has done an incredible job. Danny Wolf
Mhm.
and Vlad Golden really lead the way for them.
And I
Um,
didn't I didn't think highly of Danny Wolf. I
I,
I
I,
thought that was going to be a mid-major guy that was going to kind
right,
of flame out.
right. And we see that so many times. I thought he was going to kind of follow in that same footsteps. I mean, seeing him at Yale last year, he was a good player, but like you said, didn't think was going to be able to evolve his game.
Yep.
And I mean, they're on a roll right there. Their last six in a row. They've got great wins. This is a legit team. You know, they got Michigan State tomorrow, and they got Michigan State again, and they've got Maryland and a hot Nebraska team, even though they just lost yesterday. But I mean, you know, I think this is the first time in a couple of years that Michigan fans are
Mhm.
excited for the tournament run
Yeah.
because this is really, I mean, potentially, depending on how they match up, a third weekend team.
Yep.
You really think about it, could be an Elite Eight team. I think Final Four might be pushing it, but Sweet 16, Elite Eight, I don't see it out of the question, and I think Dusty May's done an incredible job.
Yep. Look at this. And in season or like regular season champions, who cares?
Hmm.
But Michigan's sitting at 12-2 right now. Michigan State's
Yep.
sitting at 12-3. They both win out. Michigan goes to Michigan State on the final game of the regular
Yep.
season for the Big Ten regular season championship.
Yep. It'll be a good one. Tom Izzo's crew is great this year too.
Yep. And that's who like you always talk about Izzo and March and the Michigan State teams the past couple of years without me looking at the record, it just kind of always felt like they were not sneaking their way in, but they
They're like
they
knocking
were
on the door.
yeah, you were like, all
Like,
right, these
yeah,
guys are okay, but
yeah,
then you're like, oh man, but Izzo's gonna coach them, and now they're good, and you're like,
right.
you take this good team with Tom Izzo, whew,
I know. You never bet against a Tom Izzo team in March.
yeah.
That's for sure.
Um, so talking about some of these teams, right? I don't know. So Michigan is the only one of that group there so far that made it into the seed list. Um, so what do you think about this top 16 reveal? We got Auburn, Alabama. Obviously, that's going to shake up because Alabama's lost two games since then. One to Auburn, one to Missouri.
Hmm.
Um, but not bad losses, but
Right.
certainly it's going to put Alabama on the two seed line there.
Mhm.
So I guess right. So Auburn, Alabama, Duke, Florida. If Alabama's knocked out of that, Florida, oh man,
Yeah.
they can score.
Yeah. They've got the dudes to score this year for sure.
So then 5, 6, 7, 8. You got Tennessee, A&M, Purdue's lost a couple times,
Yeah.
Houston. So if Tennessee, A&M, and Houston are right there, which one of those do you think slides up to take Alabama's spot?
I'd say Tennessee or Houston because we just lost to Mississippi State the other day.
Oh, that's right.
Um,
Yeah,
so I could see it being like Alabama, Florida, Duke,
this is a
and
much happier season for you, though, right?
yes, it
There was
is.
some stress last year.
Right. This time it's usually like nervous time where,
Yep.
but thankfully we're clearly in. I mean, I want to say a lot of these teams have lost except for maybe four or five really since this came out.
Yeah,
Um,
Arizona lost.
yeah.
Texas Tech just lost, right? They
Yeah, to
lost to
TCU yesterday,
yep.
yep.
Yeah,
St.
Wisconsin will
John's,
move their way up.
yep. But I mean,
Um,
St. John's will move their way up. St. John's is a really good team.
yep.
Um, and I'm sure we can touch. Well, I think we were going to touch on them a little bit, but I mean, I've been really impressed with how he's turned this program around in less than a year.
Yeah.
So
If
I
who would you say if everything kept the same and Patino, right? He's had some quotes, right? Last year he had the quote about all the guys kind of being bad, and this year they released that piece of
Yep,
him talking about
the
like was
halftime
the
at
guys
the
playing
Providence
defense
game. Yeah.
um I think
Well, did you hear the quote today that they just released?
no.
Um, what did he say? I literally just saw it before. Um, where is he? He said, shoot. No, I can't find it. But he basically said how he's not bringing in high school players
Oh, I did see that. Yes.
unless they're like, top cream of the crop,
Yep.
like Cooper Flag. Because he's
Yep.
like, we're losing Kadari Richmond, Davion Smith, and somebody else. I can't key player, but he's like, high school kids can't replace them. So
Uh-huh.
I'm not bringing high school kids. So that was very interesting. But I mean, his style of coaching just fits so well with that group and that team. And you
Yep.
can tell there's that mutual respect there
Yep.
that, this is, again, I mean, I can't remember the last time people were excited about, St. John's basketball
Hmm.
besides, early 2000s kind of. He's bringing this excitement back. They're having to move their games to the Garden now because
Yep.
people want to come now, and they want to support this team, and there's an interest in this team. And, you watch their game against Creighton on Sunday. There's a high standard he holds his kids to, and they go out and they fight and they scrap. And, with a team so full of talent like that, to see them still want to do the dirty work, you don't see
Yep.
that in a lot of teams. And I think that's what, separates them from
Yeah.
a lot of teams in the field.
Yep. Yeah, I think the hardest adjustment a lot of college players have is you gotta if you wanna be great, and if you want your
Right.
team to be great, you have to play hard every night.
Right.
Um, if we this is all gonna change, but just for the heck of it, we go through, if we imagine this as a little mini tournament here,
Mhm.
um, if you got Auburn, Texas Tech, who'd you pick in that game?
Auburn. Auburn's too good right now. I love Texas Tech, but I mean Auburn is on another level. They're rolling right now.
How about A&M versus Wisconsin?
That's gonna be another tough game, but I'd take A&M there.
Then
We've got
A&M versus Auburn.
experience. That's the issue is we haven't played Auburn yet,
Yep.
but I'm gonna say it pains me to say this, but I'm taking Auburn. I think
Right.
the upset, the potential's there, but I have to see it first.
Yep. I think Auburn's beatable,
Yes,
but just no one's really done it, right? So
right,
like until you look at it and you're like, I think we could beat them,
right,
but I'm sure all these other teams thought that too, right? And then they
right.
didn't.
Exactly. And you can say like, "Oh, Arkansas almost beat them." Yeah, almost. They didn't beat them.
Yep.
Like a lot of
Yep.
teams almost beat a lot of other teams, but
Yeah.
they didn't beat them. So
Yep.
until you beat them, you know, they're unbeatable.
Yep. All right. How about Alabama, Kansas?
So,
Yeah.
Alabama.
Uh, Purdue, Iowa State.
I'm taking Iowa State there.
All right. Iowa State, Alabama.
Give me Iowa State.
Yeah. How about Iowa State, Auburn,
Give me Auburn.
yeah. And Florida, Michigan. That's a good game.
Yeah, that is a good game, but Florida can score. Elijah
Houston,
Martin will have something to say for his former coach.
Houston, Kentucky.
Oh, Houston.
Houston, Florida. Ooh, that's a good one too.
I I I'm I'm gonna take Houston. I'm high on Houston this year.
Yeah. Duke. Ooh, Duke, St. John's.
Oh
That's a
man.
tough game.
I would love to see that game, and I'm sorry, but give me the Red Storm.
Picked one seed to lose in this whole thing. Tennessee, Arizona.
Tennessee.
Tennessee, St. John's. That's who.
Yeah,
That'd
that's
be a
another
physical
good
game.
game. It's so tough because St. John's can score, but Tennessee can. Give me Tennessee.
You know, that's been Tennessee's thing the past couple years, right? We know they can stop.
Mhm.
I just don't. I don't think they can win a national championship because
I don't think so, but here's the thing, though, is they were down by what, 15 against Vandy, and they came back. So it
yeah,
is possible for them to come back.
yeah.
So we do know that now.
Tennessee, Houston.
Houston.
All right, so you got Houston versus Auburn in your national
Yeah,
championship.
what a rock fight. Uh, give me Houston.
That's
Give me
that's where I
Houston
would go
over
with.
Auburn.
Yeah, I'm almost right there, except Duke would have beat Houston and then
Yeah,
beat
yeah,
Auburn
I
as they
know.
did already this season. So,
Yeah, I know. I know you were right there.
um, yeah. So yes, I mean some of those teams, right? They're definitely dropping. So I was going to ask you, right? Out of those 16, I mean, I think the obvious choice, for the team that's going to fall the farthest, or a team, that's not going to be in a top four seed, probably got to be Kansas, right? If you got to pick one of those teams,
For sure.
um, which one of those teams? I think this one might be obvious too, but eight through 16: Houston, Iowa State, Kentucky, Wisconsin, Arizona, Texas. So I'll read it again.
Mhm.
Which one of these teams do you think has the best chance of reaching a one seed? Houston,
From
Iowa
8 to
State.
16.
Yeah.
Okay. I
I mean, I'd say, man, I mean, Houston obviously is the closest right now,
yeah.
anyways. And so they seem like they've got a, good chance. Kentucky,
Yeah.
I think, just has too many SEC losses,
Yeah.
even though they've got good opportunities.
Mhm.
I would say if I don't want to go too obvious, I would go Wisconsin, but I think it comes down between Wisconsin and Houston.
Yeah, I could see Houston earning a 1 seed. Um, Tennessee's good, but I don't think they would get a 1 seed unless who does Tennessee have left on their schedule? Um, let's see here. I
You
mean,
think we'll end up with three SEC teams on the one line?
it's possible. I think it is possible. Um, again, it kind of touches to the subject that you brought up is like how many losses is too many,
Yeah, because I'm wondering some of these teams, right, that people were saying
right?
we're gonna make it.
Hmm.
Mm,
Like, so, you look at the bubble right now, right? So, I mean, Vandy is probably one of the last four in. I think Oklahoma's out, you know, Georgia's out right now. I think Arkansas is still in. I'm still leaving Arkansas in. But then the other part of me is like, how do we just like you can't put Wake Forest in over an SEC team.
hmm.
Like put VCU in. Like VCU's 20-5. But
Yeah,
it's
right.
like
It's
that's the question is like how many SEC losses is too many?
hmm.
Because Arkansas is 15-11. Like any
Yeah,
other year, you're not making a tournament with that
yeah,
record.
yeah.
So, but I mean, they've got again, a bunch of other chances. So it's definitely interesting to think about. It'll be exciting to see. The SEC tournament will be a rock fight.
It's interesting. Everyone was talking about maybe 13 or 14 teams getting in,
Hmm.
and I'm curious. I mean, there's an off chance that it's just 10, right?
Right.
Like there's a 20% chance that Texas, Georgia, Arkansas, Oklahoma, LSU, and South Carolina don't get in.
Out
Uh,
of So here's who I'm putting in out of
do you
the
think Vandy?
SEC right now.
Do you think Vandy's a lock, or do you think they can, if they collapse a little bit, they're out? Because they got a
The
couple
tou-
big
the tou-
wins.
the tough thing with Vandy is they have like they beat Texas, they beat Kentucky, they beat Tennessee.
Hmm.
Um, didn't they? No, they didn't beat anybody else. They only lost to Drake, and so I think if they get one more ranked win, they're all set. I'd put in Auburn, Florida, Alabama, Missouri, A&M, Tennessee, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Kentucky, yada yada. I
You
would
think
put Texas in.
Vandy plays Arkansas in the season? You think that's a winner gets in?
I don't think so. I think Vandy has a lot of other chances after the Arkansas game,
Yep.
and so does Arkansas after the
Yep.
Vandy game. Because like Arkansas is Missouri, Texas, South Carolina, Mississippi State left. Now, if Arkansas loses South Carolina, it's going to be difficult. But I'm leaving Oklahoma, LSU, South Carolina, and Georgia out for now. Because I just don't think Oklahoma's a good team.
Yep. And
Um,
Oklahoma is the same thing, but I don't remember what their record was, but Oklahoma was probably, I
they
bet you
were
they were like 12-0, right?
yeah, they were 13-0. Yeah.
Yeah, same thing as last year, right?
Yep.
They same exact thing, and then just boom, can't win anything once you get into the
Yep.
conference.
So and again, who do they have left? I mean, they still have a shot to make it. They're right on the bubble, but if they don't, they have a loaded schedule left. Mississippi State, Kentucky, Ole Miss, Missouri, Texas. Like they don't go 2 and 3. Might
Yeah.
be, but
Most of
yeah,
these SEC teams feel like, right, you're 2 or 3 wins away,
right,
and but they have those opportunities
right.
because of the league.
hmm And that's the other thing too is like no Pac-12 anymore.
Yep.
There's more opportunity for I'd say 4 or 5 teams really to sneak in where they hadn't before.
Yeah. So I mean, bracketology has Oklahoma in. So
hmm
you'd have VCU in over Oklahoma.
I would, because that was in what was that? That was 218. So before yesterday's games,
Yep.
and that was before Tuesday's games too. I'd have Oklahoma out, and I'd throw VCU in, and that's all I would change right now.
Now BYU. So this is before BYU smoked Kansas.
Right, and now I think
Okay.
BYU is
They're a little
safely.
safer.
Yeah, there was a lot of question about BYU because they had a terrible schedule
Yep.
and they didn't have the best metrics. But I mean, you beat a ranked team by 30, like that says something. So I think they're safer in. I think Vandy will slot to last 4 in. Um, I just I'd put VCU in. They're just 21-5. They're a really good team right now. Big game against George Mason, which is I think another team that could surprise some teams in March. Um, Georgia's tough because Georgia's had a lot of opportunities that they haven't capitalized on.
Hmm.
They've got Auburn and Florida back to back. That's
You know,
really tough.
I
But
wonder if that hurts the SEC teams, right? Like,
right,
obviously, you've got opportunities and you've got losses, but you wonder if the committee looks at it and says, yes, like you played tough teams, but you didn't win. So,
right,
like, why? What makes us think that you can beat any of these teams in a tournament?
right. And that's the question of like you lose, but like an Auburn loss is better than like Nebraska losing to Penn State.
Yep.
And so then people are going to be in an uproar of, oh, how do you justify putting, you know, this team in over this team in when they lost to hit? Like, you gotta win. I think Georgia, like, if you go 1-4, you might have enough. You get a couple SEC tournament wins, you might have enough. But I mean, it's the parity
Hmm.
again is incredible.
I do like I like Utah State. I think they're a tough spot where Utah State right now, if they beat Gonzaga, they play Auburn, and right that's what you like. Auburn reminds me of a team that may not win the national championship, but you don't want to play them early because they're so businesslike that they're not going to get knocked out until at least like the
Right.
Elite Eight.
hmm And the what I'm interested to see is if in the WCC, if Gonzaga or St. Mary's doesn't win the conference, because I mean San Fran is 21-7, and Santa Clara's like there's and Oregon State are after them. They theoretically could win that conference tournament. Who else gets affected by that? Because like we
Yep.
talk about biz dealers, you know, San Fran's not a bad team.
Yep.
Neither is Santa Clara. I mean,
Yep.
San Fran went out to beat Boise State, St. Louis, Loyola. Uh, they lost to Gonzaga by a little, but I mean, you never really know anymore.
Mm-hmm. That we talked about this before. The matchup changed bracket or like region, but it's still the same match or no, different matchup, but still interesting thing. Right now in the East, you got Tennessee as a 2, Louisville as a 7.
Mhm. Yeah, that
That's
would really break the
yeah,
state,
and that's a tough because Louisville can score the ball. That's a good
right?
team.
And that'll be interesting because Tennessee can really defend.
Yep. That's a oh man, like Louisville is I saw someone post this thing online that best day or best days or whatever in a sports season or sports fans like season, and they rank like between the Super Bowl and blah blah, and they had opening day or opening 2 days of March Madness as number 2 over the first day, the first Sunday of the NFL. And now, like, I'm not a big football guy, but how can the first Sunday of NFL football be better than the
Yeah,
first 2 days of March Madness?
it's not. I you ask anybody, they're gonna tell you the first 2 days of
Yeah.
March Madness for sure.
Real quick for the heck of it, uh, biggest look at the top. Well, let's go bracket to bracket real quick.
Okay.
So in the South,
hmm
you got Auburn as a 1, and you got Iowa State as a 2, St. John's as a 4, and Wisconsin is actually instead of saying which one is the most likely, let's just say in the South, do you see any chance that either one of those top four seeds get upset in the first round? Wisconsin, Townsend, Iowa State, Bryant, St. John's, Arkansas State, Auburn.
Um, I don't. The one I'd say, the one that has the best shot of upsetting a team is Arkansas State.
Yep.
But I don't because they did beat Memphis this year and they did
Mm.
play Alabama to a close game. But I'm gonna say no.
Yeah, I don't.
Nobody, none of the time. I don't see any of the top four seeds losing in that
All
bracket.
right, we got the West. We got Florida. We got Texas A&M, Montana, Purdue, Jacksonville State, Texas Tech, Akron. Give me I'm without looking at the rest of it here. Oh no, I got that one. I'm picking that one over there. But I could see Jacksonville State playing Purdue close.
I could see. Give me uh Akron. They haven't lost in almost 2 months.
Yeah,
This team knows how to win. I
yeah.
could absolutely see them losing.
That looks like a typical. That looks like my typical bracket where I talk myself into Drake upsetting Marquette and Akron upsetting Texas Tech, and then I get
Right.
Akron somehow to like the Elite Eight,
Right.
and then they lose by 30 in the first game.
Right.
I'm like in Utah Valley over Arizona.
Yeah.
I I can't do it. I like how Arizona's playing right now, but I'm not locked down the Arizona team.
Yeah. Utah Valley is good. You look at other in the East, Duke is gonna be fine.
Yeah.
I don't see Tennessee getting upset. I don't see Michigan State getting upset.
Hmm.
That would probably be my popular.
Yeah. Kentucky, UNC Greensboro. Kentucky. I mean, this is not your right. It's not your John Calipari, Kentucky. Um,
Yes. Also, though, USC Greensboro is not even first in the conference. Why are they projected to be in? That's weird.
they
That is really weird.
and they just got smoked by East Tennessee State.
Really.
Let's see. Oh yeah, you got Chattanooga sitting in there, 12-3.
Samford. They
Wofford,
almost beat
Furman.
Kansas. You never know.
Yeah. Uh, hmm. I wonder if they. Let's see. UNC Greensboro, Wofford, Mercer. Yeah, I'm not picking UNC Greensboro to beat anybody. Um,
Oh man.
but Kentucky, when we get into actual prediction stuff, Kentucky doesn't play defense.
No. And the big question for Kentucky will be their health. Is who's
Yeah.
going to be healthy and who's not. I mean, I love Travis Perry, but anytime you got a freshman bring the ball up in March Madness, he's never been there.
Yep.
Teams are going to look to put pressure on you for sure.
Yep. I mean, I just figure as long as someone's sweeping up the floor and making sure it's not slippery, Duke's not losing a game.
Okay, so
Uh,
here's my thing though. Sorry, but let's. So Duke beats Southern slash American by like 85 points.
hmm
Then you have to play the winner of UConn, Ohio State. That's tough. That's a tough game.
after after Duke beats UConn by 20,
I,
how much do you
listen.
think
No,
Daniel
no, no.
Hurley is going
Don't
to talk
say
about?
that
This
because
is a. I mean, Daniel Hurley, he might coach hard in that game because he is still a little bit hurt that Cooper Flag didn't pick him.
he he might. He's gonna coach his butt off.
And you know why Cooper Flag picked Duke over UConn, right?
Let me
Because
guess.
one team is the face of the sport.
Yeah, that's why they haven't won in like the
That
last
doesn't that we have
God
this debate
knows.
all the time. That doesn't mean they're
I
not
don't
the
even
face of the
remember the
sport.
last time they won the national championship. This is so long ago.
Face of the sport.
Maybe the last time Elms made the playoffs.
Mhm.
Was it 7 years ago? Just watch.
Let's see, seven most watched. Hmm. I can't find, but Duke. We don't need to get into that one. Duke is by far. So let's preview the weekend. Um, we get Michigan State and Michigan. I'm liking. I don't get a chance to watch them as much as I like to, but I like these Big Ten games on Friday night.
Hmm.
They're usually pretty quality games, and it just kind of it puts a good spotlight on the Big Ten. I think they don't have to compete, right? They're not worried about, all right, we can't get on. They're not ESPN affiliate anyways, but we can't. We're battling with college football or
Hmm.
like whatever. Like they just get like their spot.
Yep. Exactly.
So that'd be good. Then, Tennessee, Texas A&M, right at
Yep.
12
That'll
o'clock.
be good.
These 12 o'clock ones kill me because I'm usually at Wiley's basketball game.
I know.
Playoffs coming up. We don't know when it is, but we got
Okay.
playoffs coming up. We
Okay.
are 11-3.
Wow.
With some bad losses. We lost two games. When our star player
Two quad
was
three
was sick.
games.
Yeah, we lost a bye game.
Oh.
Uh, and it was unfortunate. The other team, there were some crowds or some court storming going on. We
What?
couldn't put the ball in the hoop. Like we average probably 20-25 a game,
That's
and
good
we
for.
lost 7-6.
Dang. Wow.
We couldn't put the ball in the hoop.
That's bad.
And the other team was jumping around like, so whew, if we play them again. Um, Wiley is up to about um, two or three um, ball pressure,
Okay.
live ball turnovers
Okay.
now. Um, he has
I'm gonna have to coach him up at Spartan basketball school.
he picked up a foul, or not a foul on
Oh,
him. He got a turnover on a, this kid set a moving screen on him. Like Wiley, the kid set a screen. The only team we played all year that set screens.
and
So this
that
kid
was
set
on.
a screen, and Wiley has no idea what's going on. So he's trying to get around it, and this kid's just like moving, like following Wiley, like screening him. So we got a turnover there.
All
Um,
right.
he still is yet to do much on the offensive end.
It's okay.
When he gets the ball,
He's the
he
Malik Brown of his team.
yeah, he does have I think 2 rebounds.
Okay.
Um, he just I tell him he got the ball one time and the lane was wide open, but as soon as he gets the ball, he passes it back. I'm like, dude,
Hmm.
you got to turn, you got to drive.
Just screw it and go to the
Um,
lane.
there is some inconsistencies in the league. I do have to tell you, there is some games we play in that the kids have to shoot the free throw from the free throw line. Other games
And
we play
some
in,
other,
they get to go a little bit closer.
yeah.
And then we played 2 games this year where some kids have shot from the free throw line and other kids have shot from a closer line.
I don't
One
know.
one game, one kid shot it from the free throw line. He missed, and they let him move up.
You know what? I could probably see that happening.
And so it's I don't know. And then we played one game where the ref wore a hat during the
Mm,
game, which I thought was unprofessional,
mm,
and then proceeded to, during the timeouts, shoot the ball while the
mm,
timeout was going on
mm.
and missed every single shot that he took as he was shooting around during the timeout. And I was like, dude, he did like, how the guys go out and like, like during like a halftime, guys would go on the court and they're like, oh, I get to shoot around and they're terrible. They miss all their shots. And so they like, they blow on the hands or they shuffle around to make it look like, oh, like I'm just not warmed up. I'm like, no,
Right.
dude, like just
Nice try, but
do some layups if you're gonna miss. Although the ball rolled over to me and Mr. Brez twice, like one to him and one to me during shoot around at the game last night.
oh
I
yeah.
wanted to shoot it so bad,
You
but
should
I was
have.
like, if I miss this,
You should have. I would have laughed. You should have done that.
um, but yeah, there's been some inconsistencies, but it's okay. Uh, we will probably be favored
Okay.
in every game we play.
Okay.
Um, I don't foresee Wiley getting in much of the playoff.
Oh,
I think the rotation might get kind of brought down a little bit.
so he'll be like Patrick Top Hay kind of.
Yep, yep.
Dang. Why do
But
they
I
gotta
told him
do that?
you gotta stay ready.
Yep.
Um,
You do.
because you never know.
Right.
And you just got to play that suffocating defense.
Look at
Um,
you coaching him up.
right now he's it's the problem is the floor that we play on. It's too slippery.
Hmm.
And we're just running into some issues. It blows my mind. I I have a hot take on something that
On
would get
youth
me it
basketball.
would get me no, it's on something else. It would get me canceled. So I'm just gonna give my hot take on youth basketball instead. Um, the amount of money these parents are paying on these for these kids' shoes.
Oh my
So
God, yeah, I know.
coach came over one practice while he's slipping all over the place because they were working on like um almost like a V cut thing, like just
Okay.
like going down the hoop and popping back out.
Right.
And why why is just slipping and falling? Because they're not after school they're not swiping the court, so like it's
Right.
just super slippery. And coach came over, he's like, man, like his shoes like they're too slippery. I'm like, well, obviously, like I can see he's slipping all, but I didn't know if the implication was that he wanted me to buy him other shoes because Wiley has Walmart shoes
Right.
because he's 8 years old.
Right. Like,
Like,
why would you? Yeah.
I'm not buying some of these size Walmart shoes. And so these other kids, I'm like, these kids have $100 shoes, and I'm like, you can't make a
Right.
layup.
Right. I know. Like, if he's not, if you don't know, he's not fully invested yet.
Yeah. My
Like,
parents did the same thing. I tried out for
right.
basketball freshman year of high school and didn't make the team. And I was wearing my Walmart shoes that I wore for cross country, freshman year cross country, because my
Right.
parents were like, we don't know if you like cross country. I'm not
Right.
going to buy you a pair of like Nike Pegasus. Here,
Right.
let's go to Walmart and buy $30 shoes. And then I tried
Right.
out for basketball, and my parents were like, we'll buy you basketball shoes if you make the team.
Right.
So, like, I just wore my beat up cross country shoes. And then I didn't make the team, and I got into Ryan, and they bought me Ryan shoes.
Hey, there you go. Worked out for you.
So, but oh, some of these, it's like,
Oh yeah, no,
man,
it's insane. Even when I like, when I have to ref youth basketball, it's insane.
yeah.
And then you got parents think that their kid is like the next LeBron, and they're in
Mhm.
Game 7 of the NBA Finals.
Yeah, oh, it's been tough, but he likes it. So,
That's good. That's good.
all right, let's wrap up real quick on this weekend. Right, we said we got Michigan State, we got that Tennessee Texas A&M game. Um,
Kentucky, Alabama.
yeah, you got Oregon, Wisconsin. Now at Wisconsin, Oregon was playing pretty well early in the season. Um, Florida State, Louisville, but that's at Louisville, so I expect them to pick up that
Yeah.
win. I mean, we're getting to the point in time this season where we got some good games. I was right. If it like if my family was not here, I'd be hunkering down for. You got Tennessee A&M straight into Iowa State, Houston.
Could be hunkering down.
Right into I guess Georgia, Auburn. Right, that's
Right.
we get a little break there.
Yeah.
Um,
You know what I'm upset about is why is Gonzaga St. Mary's not on national TV?
yeah, and that's always the big one, right? That's
Right.
always like
That's a
tune
good game
in for
too.
this. Yeah. Um, Missouri, Arkansas. Arkansas needs that.
Hmm.
Um, so you're telling me if if Arkansas loses to Missouri and
Yeah.
they're 15-12 and
Yeah.
4-10,
Yeah.
are they still on? Are they last four in or next or first four out for you?
Will either be the very last team in or the very first team out.
My goodness. I don't think Arkansas is a good basketball team.
They're a good basketball team in a tough league.
I don't think Arkansas is a good basketball team. I think Arkansas is a bad basketball team with a bad coach.
Listen,
I think
coach doesn't
Arkansas is
coach
a
coach
talented
doesn't
team,
play the games. All he can do is prepare you. You got to
but
execute
he
as
can't prepare them. He's a bad basketball coach.
they've got a Michigan win,
If Arkansas,
and they got a Kentucky win and a Texas win.
if Arkansas does not make the tournament these next 2 years, will John
That's
Calipari?
that's a lot of what ifs.
Oh no, if Arkansas misses the tournament the next 2 years, does John Calipari end up at UMass?
No, because then you have to bank on Frank Martin getting fired.
How many years are you going to give Frank Martin to turn it around,
I mean, come on, UMass has been awful for like years now. You have to give them at least 3 more years.
including this year?
No, after this year. They're also moving conferences.
That's why they want John Calipari.
No, they're going to be in a worse conference. There's no excuse for them not to make it to March Madness. They're going to be in the MAC.
Oh, I don't know.
Frank Martin is a good coach.
He
He
is.
just
He
he
is.
just has a
He's a better coach than John Calipari is.
he just has a bad team.
So, all right, we got Duke, Illinois. So it's okay. Best game of the weekend, probably Michigan State.
Give me UConn St. John's at MSG
Okay, and that's not right
Sunday.
now. Now we're getting into like the Big East of old, right? Where
Mhm,
like UConn St. John's is a St. John's home game,
mhm,
but it's not going to feel like it, right? You're going to
right.
have a lot of like pro UConn people there.
Hmm. Especially at Madison Square
Yeah.
Garden.
Yep.
That's Also, I think Drake and UN Northern Iowa could be a good game on Sunday.
Wait, is that a Sunday game?
Yeah.
So you got Duke, Illinois Saturday, and then UConn St. John Sunday at MSG. That's a
Yes.
good weekend. Um, BYU Arizona at Arizona.
If BYU wins that game, they're a lock.
Yep. Um, yeah, I like that's that St. John's UConn game's good.
Hmm.
Um, I like the Michigan State one, but Texas. You think A&M has to be favored over Tennessee, right? In Texas.
Probably, yeah.
Um, and then Iowa State, Houston in Texas as well. It's I'd be interested to see. Mm, you know, Clemson's got SMU. That's the one I was curious about. I was curious to see if Clemson had any more adversity games. I knew Clemson would be favored in all the rest of the games,
Hmm.
but going to SMU at least
Right.
provides a little bit of a challenge there.
Right. For sure.
Because I am curious because I think what we forget, right? Clemson beat Duke, and
Hmm.
right, Cooper Flag doesn't slip.
Right.
Clemson was up 3 at that point, I believe.
Hmm.
So it's still a little bit of uphill battle for Duke.
Right.
And right, they maybe lose that game.
Hmm.
But if so, we look at that, we're like, Duke lost to Clemson, but Clemson made what either the Elite Eight or Final Four last year. I think Elite Eight, right? 'Cause
Yes.
I think
Elite
the
Eight.
I
Yep.
think in the Elite Eight you had Duke, UConn, and or Duke, Clemson, and NC State.
Yep.
Um, so I mean, Clemson is they're backing up what they did last year. This might be a
Right.
good basketball team,
Yeah. For sure.
right? And
Absolutely.
they've got a Kentucky win, right, from
Mhm.
the SEC A10
Yep.
Challenge.
Did
So
they
they got
beat?
the Kentucky win. What they got for losses? Memphis, not a terrible loss,
It's not a bad loss.
right? South Carolina, not a great loss.
Yeah.
Louisville, good,
Yep.
right? Georgia Tech always snipes a couple teams.
Yeah, that's a bad loss.
Um, but Boise State.
Yeah, I don't know how they are. I'm not
Um,
particularly sure.
but yeah, I mean, this is a good basketball team. Um, this is another year, right? This is a year where the ACC's down again, but you could get three
Oh
more
Lord.
back to the Elite Eight, right? Louisville, Clemson, and Duke are three real good basketball teams.
What do you think of the odds that Louisville chokes first round? They have this great season, best in a long time, then they get to the tournament and then they just collapse.
I think that if they are a if they are a 4 seed or better, not going to happen. I
Okay.
think if they're a 5 or 6 seed or 7, certainly, right? But like if 5 or 6 seed,
Mm.
it gets a little dicier.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Louisville's a team that shoots a lot of 3 pointers
Yes.
and does not make them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, it's yeah. Oh, so real quick, wrap up on this point. Um, this hasn't been updated, so we'll do it for the heck of it. Each year, it's always kind of like which last foreign is going to make that run.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, this likely is not true, but we'll keep where it is. San Diego State, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Wake Forest. If you have to pick one of those to go on a run to Sweet 16, let's say, which one?
Do I have to? Do
So
I,
I think it's Arkansas, right? Bad team, bad coach. More Arkansas is the most talent out of those four.
oh
Arkansas is
man.
the most talent on the team.
I would say so. I mean, I wouldn't pick any of them.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, I guess I would say Arkansas. Now, if somebody like Texas or Vandy or
Yep.
VCU or like
And
is in
Vandy's
there,
probably in that last four now, right?
right?
Because
Like
Vandy
sure,
lost. Yeah.
absolutely. But yeah, I guess Arkansas would. I want to see who's that. Like it's like UC San Diego. I want to see them in
Yeah.
the tournament because they're
Yep.
like 20-4, and they would be my pick.
How much would it pain me if North Carolina, who doesn't deserve to be in the tournament, somehow gets into the last four in and goes on a run like NC State did last
And
year?
upsets Duke.
I would I would stop watching basketball.
Yeah, you
I wouldn't
probably
watch it.
would. You probably would. Yeah.
Um, God, I hope Duke win. You Duke has to win that game by 30.
And we're still making our bet this year that if I beat you in the tournament challenge, you have to watch another one shining moment as your punishment if Duke loses.
So, what about off of that, right? Um, off of that, we'll finish up on this. We don't have time to go through this, but this is a good setup. Um, in an interview with the Athletic, Cooper Flagg did say,
God.
"Shoot, I want to come back next year."
Yeah, I did see that. No, you can't. No. If John Shire is a good coach, he will tell him not to come back.
I think right. Zion said the same thing.
Right.
Zion had a quote like that, like, "Man, like I love college. I want to play." Um, Cooper Flag, right? And Mike Krzyzewski was like, "You got to go." And I think John Shire. Now it's a little different situation. Cooper Flag he's sponsored by New Balance, right? He's getting millions of dollars presumably, but he could be getting those millions of dollars plus even more millions of dollars on an NBA contract.
Right.
And I think you saw with Zion, right? Like you saw Zion multiple times through him gaining weight and
Right.
having a baby with like a porn star and like like whatever
Mm,
Zion's doing,
right.
and busting his ankle and foot and everything. Like
Mm,
you gotta you gotta make $10 million when you can make $10 million, because if you
right.
get hurt that first year,
Right.
you can live the rest of your life off $10 million.
Exactly. So
And
he's got to go. He's got to go
yeah,
to the league. You
and I
can't let
think
him
Cooper
stay.
Flag is a guy. Cooper Flag's not like they interviewed Cooper Flag at the end of a game one time, and it might have been after. I think it was after the UNC game, because the UNC game ends early, 6:30. So
Yep.
they're like, okay, what are you doing like later? And he's like, well, there's a bunch of good basketball games on tonight. And Cooper Flag's just a guy that's like locked in about
Right.
basketball and college. I assume he likes the idea of college. I think he had a 4.0 GPA
Hmm.
freshman year, but like,
Right.
what is that, right?
Right.
Like he's taken some easy classes, but he's a smart kid,
Hmm.
but he doesn't need to stay in college to like hang out. He just wants to play basketball, so
Right.
he can go to the NBA. He
Right.
doesn't need to like be walking around campus and having people high five
Mhm.
him and stuff.
Right.
And
Right.
so yeah, he'll leave, but it was it's always good food for like he now similar to Zion. I do think there is a part of Cooper Flag. And so I brought this up because you mentioned one shining moment. I think there's a part of Cooper Flag that if Duke does lose, if they don't win the tournament this year, there is a part of Cooper Flag that says I'm coming back, right?
Mhm.
I've got to win this. And
Right.
then there's his mom and his dad and John Shire saying no, like you're going to the NBA.
Right.
But I think Cooper Flag is that guy that says I I made a promise to myself that I was going to
Sure.
win like an NCAA championship.
Absolutely.
I mean, my favorite Cooper Flag story, and this is the thing I do like about Cooper Flag, is he's a guy that's locked in. Right? He doesn't listen to music, doesn't do any of this stuff. On Countdown to Crazy, he asked John Shot or Coach K's daughter is part of like the social media type team at like Duke, and he asked her before Countdown to Crazy, what song should I come out to? And she
Hmm.
was like, well, what song you want to come out to? And he's like, I don't know, like I don't listen to music.
Hmm.
And so this is the guy that's just like, you know, he's to be, I think, the second youngest player in college basketball.
Right.
and be more mature than half the guys that are out there.
Right. It says a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's and that's parenting, and
Right.
it's growing up, and I hate when they say, right, here's the kid from Maine, right? Like
Mhm.
Cooper Flag probably hasn't lived in Maine since he was like 14 years old,
Right.
you know,
Exactly.
like
Yeah.
um, but he did say I listened to an interview with him with Caleb Foster one time, and they asked him, what if you could be doing anything right now, like what would you be doing? He'd be like, I'd be back in Maine, like fishing with like the kids I grew up with.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he's got that piece to him a little bit.
Right.
But most of these
Exactly.
guys you hear like, that so and so is from this place or this
Mhm.
place or whatever. And it's like
Right.
these guys play AAU basketball everywhere. It's
Right.
like,
Exactly. They haven't been home in a number of years, but
yeah. All right. I think we've gone off topic enough here. So we'll wrap it up. Yeah, I mean it's almost we'll probably get one more in maybe 2 weeks to
mm,
preview conference tournament,
yeah,
and then we'll get into March Madness stuff.
for sure.
Yep, because we'll give you time to wrap up the magical run that Elms is about to go on.
Yeah. Maybe we can do NC State.
Yeah,
5 games in 5 days.
yep. All right. Well, till next time. See you later.